Them dogs are barking in a big, big way. Let's do it. NBA playoffs front and center. Good afternoon, Sean Brace, Sam Oshtry. We are all things picks and roll here on The Gambler. NBA playoffs, as I said, nothing better. Have you been tuning in? Have you seen the upsets? Man, last night was incredible. First and foremost, I do want to put this stat out that is on my television screen right now as we speak, courtesy of the fine folks over at ESPN. Sam Oshtry from The Score. Teams to lose game one at home in a best-of-7 series. There has been 6 straight series losses by those teams, including the Lakers and Rockets last round. Dum, dum, dum. Wow. How about last night?
That was it. Amazing night in the NBA. Like a lot of these nights have been. This has been an incredible playoffs from the first round to now the second round. And these are all just been game one so far. So look, parity, finally. After like a decade, you could say, if not a lot of parity in the NBA, this is what Adam Silver wanted. He wanted parity with the collective bargaining agreement, with all the play-in tournament, all these different things. He created a system of parity, and we have it. And it creates awesome matchups where you have no idea who's going to win this title right now. No idea.
You're right about that. We have 2 games tonight. We do have a game 1 in the Golden State Warriors and Minnesota Timberwolves. So will the dog trend continue to bark? We'll talk about that game. Of course, we got game 2 with Pacers and Cavaliers. Dare I say, must-win territory for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I kid. But then again, with just throwing that out there, and that's what it comes back to for me, Sam, is these are all good teams, right? Like the Knicks going into Boston was shocking, but the Knicks are a good basketball team. Knicks won 50-plus games. Pacers won 50-plus games. I don't need to go into the Nuggets. We know damn well how good the Nuggets are, and the Warriors are the Warriors, right? Like these are all really good basketball teams that have won a bunch of games. Some have won championships and made runs before. But like it shouldn't shock us that we are seeing these types of just wins. I would say covers shouldn't shock us. To win is a different monster. So I got to take that back. But it's been a lot of fun talking about them. Of course, we'll go ahead and jump right into. Let's do it with the Knicks and Celtics first up last night.
Can we give you credit first? Can you take your victory lap first for predicting that series or the Knicks upset to a T?
No. Well, look, I wish I could even go a little bit further, but obviously I didn't have it. I just said that if the Boston Celtics, not even if the Knicks were to win a game, it was more along the lines of if the Celtics lose a game, it's going to be because they don't make their 3-point shots. And we all agreed, of course. And I just said, what's the percentage? Because they shoot a ridiculous amount of 3-pointers. So if they shoot 25% from downtown, that's going to be an ugly night. I didn't think 45 missed 3-pointers, though, Sam.
NBA playoff record, 45 misses an NBA playoff record, and then 60 attempts an NBA playoff record. Just absurd.
So good. Well, look, again, just like the Cavaliers and Pacers, though, I want to be careful because that game was the Pacers or the Cavs were up by a point with, I think, 5 minutes to go, and then they went on their run. The Boston Celtics were up by 20 points. You know, like I get it. We give all the credit in the world to New York, and they deserve even more than that. But like Boston being up by 20, the 3-pointers weren't falling. They kind of got rattled, in my opinion. It's just like, dude, just if they're not falling, can you do something else? And I know Brown and Tatum are incredible one-on-one, but like, I don't know. Maybe I would have liked to see that a little bit featured more. Slow it down. Let's get one of them on the block, and this is what we're going to do every single time down if the 3-pointers aren't falling. But that's easy for me to say from the couch.
So I don't have a problem with the 3-point volume. Like this is who the Celtics are.
Yes.
They won a championship with it, shooting a ton of threes, the most threes in NBA history they shot this season. And I don't have a problem with the volume, but they take that approach because of their personnel. When their personnel is they almost always have 5 shooters on the floor at all times and a lot of perimeter guys who can break their defenders down, drive and kick, get in the lane, put 2 on the ball, and that's what generates good threes. So I don't have a problem with the volume. I have a problem with how they generated their threes yesterday because they weren't doing that. at all. They were not. I mean, they were in the first half, but in that second half, it became so much isolation, so much one-on-one basketball where they weren't generating looks by putting two on the ball. And the Knicks made an adjustment from the regular season matchups, where the Knicks in the regular season, when Karl-Anthony Towns or Karl-Anthony Towns really was in the pick and roll, he was always in drop coverage, always hanging out by the rim. They had him switch almost everything against the Celtics ball screens. So he was switching almost everything, and the Knicks were switching all ball screens, really any ball screen that Jalen Brunson wasn't involved in, which is a good approach because now the Celtics don't put two on the ball and they don't get teams in rotation. And that's what the Magic did. And the Magic kind of unlocked something where they limited the Celtics threes. So I like that approach. I like that Thibs made that adjustment for this game. The problem that the Celtics didn't exploit is they didn't exploit those mismatches good enough, and particularly Jason Tatum, who I thought had one of his worst playoff games I've seen in a long time from him. And he probably had the best season of his career this season. But this playoff game was an abysmal performance from him, and it was his decision-making off of these switches. In the second half, they were generating these switches that they wanted. He had opportunities to take it to the rim against Karl-Anthony Towns, against Mitchell Robinson. In overtime against Jalen Brunson, Jalen Brunson got caught in a couple switches when they were really trying to hedge and recover, but Brunson got caught in a couple switches on Tatum. And what did Tatum do? He settled for contested dribble, really just isolation, one-on-one three-point jumpers. Those are awful looks. He has to get to the rim, and the Celtics as a group have to get in the paint to draw two, to kick and get the Knicks in rotation, because that's how they generate good looks. So that they're usually great at that. So they can shoot a lot of threes because they generate good looks. They did not do that last night at all, and it started with Jason Tatum in that fourth quarter in overtime.
What a game. And for the Knicks to go into Boston again, like I said, just you want to cover the number, that's great. 9, whatever it was at tip off. You want to cover that. That's what it's all about. But it's a different animal to go in there and to win on the road, to take game 1 in a game 7, best of 7 series. And oh, by the way, go to overtime, like I said, where road dogs go to die. And they just did not back down. OG, I got to give him a ton of credit. He was hitting some big shots, wasn't shy of the moment. The Knicks just kept on, like, that was the thing that stood out to me in that fourth quarter, was like, once they got into it, it's like, no, they belong. They belong. They're not scared of the Boston Celtics right now.
OG was awesome. He had 29 points, tied for the most on the team with Brunson. But more importantly, what he did defensively is he held the Celtics starters to 1 for 15 shooting as the primary defender. So He just guarded. He was guarding everybody 1 through 5, and he did a phenomenal job. And Mikal Bridges was phenomenal defensively in that game, and really late in that game when he had 2 big steals on a block, especially, of course, on the last play when he just ripped the ball out of Jaylen Brown's hands. But Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, and Josh Hart, those 3 were flying all over in their closeouts, their rotations, their recoveries. They were flying all over defensively yesterday, and they made up for the defensive liabilities the Knicks have, which is Karl-Anthony Towns, which is Jalen Brunson, who the Celtics attacked and targeted and tried to get in action all the time. And it's really more on the Celtics for not taking advantage of it. But those 3 guys defensively were phenomenal.
All right. Which one surprised you more? Outright victory, the Knicks going into Boston or the Nuggets going into OKC and winning?
The Nuggets going to OKC just because of the rest. Like, the Nuggets just came off of a 7-game series against the Clippers when they had 1 day of rest, when the Thunder had this 8-day layover. So really the rest factor, and we saw the stat yesterday, that was the first time in NBA history a team had only 1 day of rest playing a team with 8+ days of rest, and they beat them. So really the rest factor and how the Thunder fell apart late. But I'm not very confident in the Knicks moving forward, if we're going to be honest. But I said before they don't have a chance. I'm not confident in them moving forward.
Yeah, look, I think, there's levels to this, and I'm not going to panic in the best of 7 if you lost game 1. It's definitely not how you draw it up, but we know what Boston is capable of, and I would say that they are the better team. But their superstars need to play like it, and they got to hit a few more 3-pointers.
Yeah.
If you're going to pull up 60+, man, you can't miss 45 of those bad boys, or else you're going to lose, like we discussed yesterday.
And I had a problem with how they generated the threes, but at the same time, they were 7 for 25 on unguarded catch and shoot threes. that number will never be that low again. Like,
Correct.
they're just going to shoot better from three. And I think it's a pretty easy adjustment because when the Knicks switch these ball screens and they get Cat on an island or they force Jalen Brunson in action, the adjustment is Tatum, take it to the rim. Like, get 2 feet in the lane and create for yourself and your teammates. Don't settle for these poor step back jumpers. So it's a pretty easy fix and adjustment because the Knicks don't really have the defensive personnel when they have Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson, two guys that just can be targeted relentlessly. And it's really just on Jason Tatum especially, but also Jaylen Brown and these guys to take advantage of those switches and those mismatches. So I think it's a relatively easy adjustment that Knicks have to make. And of course, it's just making more shots. And so I'm not really convinced unless they go ice cold. And like I said earlier, or like I said yesterday to you, which is the only way the Celtics or the Knicks win this series or really compete for an entire series is if they're ice cold from three, like shoot 30% from three for the entire series, and Kristaps gets injured. So 2 of those things hit yesterday, and like you got to have a Drew Holiday get hurt too. So
Yep.
Kristaps left with an illness, and he actually missed significant time in the regular season with an illness. So we don't know how that will progress, but assuming he'll be back, I'm not worried about the Celtics.
It's pretty funny because our resident New York Knicks hater, Sean Bernard, was at the Kendrick Lamar show last night.
Of course.
And it was funny because, obviously that game was a blowout. Everything was going as expected. And then I texted the group, like, Nick's about to make this interesting because it was like a 7-8 point game at that point in time. And it just had the vibe of like, all right, boss is playing with their food. Knicks are going to tie this up, right? Brunson just putting the team on his back, but Sean Bernard checking in from a concert, but if I'm not mistaken, they are down 9 at the end of the third, right? Like, don't give them any credit whatsoever. You saw it though, right? That's not something that I was, hallucinating in my living room. I just felt like, okay, Knicks are for real right now. And again, it starts and ends with Brunson. Let's get a minute on him. Come on, dude. And I said it last week, speaking of Sean Bernard, and I said, dude, when you watch this guy play right now, he's giving me like visions of, speaking of hallucinating, Kawhi Leonard. Like when Kawhi goes up, it's going in. Things changed in that series that just happened. Kawhi struggled down the stretch, wasn't as automatic. But I'm at the point right now saying when Brunson misses a shot, specifically like he did on that layup, I'm shocked by it. I'm shocked.
Yeah. I think he was shocked. I think every Knicks fan was shocked. It's just when Brunson has the ball late in his hands, late in the game, everyone expects it to go in. And look, he had a great backdoor cut, great pass from Karl-Anthony Towns, and he missed the bunny that he typically makes. If the Knicks lost that game, he would have just been destroying himself because that's just a shot he always makes, and obviously a very winnable game. They ended up escaping in overtime, and he wasn't great in that overtime period. Mikal Bridges hit a huge shot, though. Again, OG Anunoby was the star of this game on both ends. The Knicks really had to adjust to the refereeing and how this game was officiated because that Pistons series you could get away with murder. Both teams. I mean, it was just fouling every single possession that weren't being called. That was not the case. And the Knicks dealt with foul trouble because of it. It's Karl-Anthony Towns, to Josh Hart earlier, to Jalen Brunson, because that physicality level just wasn't the same. Like the refs were just calling more ticky-tack stuff than they were in that Pistons series. So it's really hard to go from a 6-game series against the Pistons where it's an all-out war to something like what it was yesterday.
Yeah, what a game it was, man. That's how we got the party started last night, and then on to the next one. Again, Aaron Gordon coming through in the clutch, hitting that 3. Joker, masterful, 42, 22, 6, just the 5th 40-25 postseason game ever. I just, it's just playoff basketball, and I hate to say things so plain as day as that, because, when you play 48 minutes, there's a hell of a lot more that goes into a game, a result, on why a team won and why a team lost. But this is another game where Oklahoma City has the game by the throat. They're up by 12, 13 points, whatever in the fourth quarter, at home. Place has got juice. Denver's just a battle-tested championship mentality type of team. And oh, by the way, some might say the best players on their team. I'm not here to argue SGA versus Joker. You tell me you'll take Joker over SGA if you're starting a team right now. You're not wrong. You tell me you're going to take SGA over Joker to start a team right now. You're not wrong. Those are
no. You are wrong with the second one. You're wrong.
SGA. Yeah, I would tend to take Joker as well. But what type of age are we talking about, right?
SGA's a little younger.
How old's Joker?
He's probably about 31 at this point.
Okay. Yeah, again,
It's
we're
30,
splitting
30, 30.
30. We're splitting hairs. He is incredible. So I just ask you, like, again, it goes back to that question from the beginning. It was like, how surprised were you with both of those results? But, just the way it played out, and I'll give the credit to the championship mentality. They fired their head coach a week before the game, and now they're up 1-0 on the team with the best record in the NBA.
It kind of shows that we've seen throughout the last few years that owners and franchises don't value head coaches right now. And you're kind of seeing why. That I think a lot of team owners and franchises just think they're very replaceable. Like a lot of these guys can do this similar things, and so they're very replaceable. Which is why you see organizations fire their head coaches every few years, because like, all right, we can get another guy in here who can do just as good of a job. And so that's why head coaches aren't really valued right now. And you just see guys recycling in and out from job to job. And there's very, very few that stick around in one place, like Spo with the Heat and Steve Kerr with the Warriors are the really only ones. Maybe I'm missing one, but I think those are the only two that have really been there for extended periods of time. And you're kind of seeing why with this Nuggets series, where it's like maybe it can be a jolt, which I wasn't really buying, but it's hard to deny right now. It feels like Jokic is coaching this team just as much as David Adelman, and he's really emerged as a great leader over the last few seasons. But yeah, I mean, they're doing an awesome job down the stretch of games, despite being so tired, because they don't have a lot of depth. The problem in this game for me was the rebounding battle. It was just the Nuggets got destroyed. Excuse me, the Thunder got destroyed in the rebounding battle. The Nuggets won it by 20. And the Nuggets had 21 offensive rebounds.
That was their big issue last year. Was it an issue this year as far as the league?
So it wasn't. So to set the stage for you, last year they had the fourth worst defensive rebounding percentage in the entire NBA, which made sense because they were playing Chet at the 5. And obviously Chet's this skinny, kind of frail dude, great rim protector, but skinny, frail dude as a rebounder. They bring in Isaiah Hartenstein for that exact reason, to pair him with Chet Holmgren, to build a huge front court. And Chet and Isaiah is an awesome center and a great rebounder. And it actually worked. Like, obviously, Chet started the year out injured, then Isaiah got hurt. So those guys never really played that much together in the first half of the season. But since the All-Star break, they were a top 10 rebounding team in terms of opponent offensive rebounding percentage. So they were limiting teams from getting offensive rebounds and limiting second chance points. That just completely went away this series. Like that, they got Isaiah Hartenstein for this series, so they don't lose the rebounding battle like that, and they can win the physicality and toughness on the front line against a matchup like Jokic. But that just didn't happen at all. Like the Nuggets out-rebounded them by 20. The Nuggets got 21 offensive rebounds. They had 8 more second chance points. Jokic dominated both Chet and Isaiah Hartenstein. Whoever was matched up with him, he was dominating that matchup. And the Thunder need to send more help. But the rebounding battle and the physicality, I was shocked at how the Nuggets just dominated that matchup, especially because the Nuggets just finished up a Game 7 series 2 days ago. And the Thunder were well rested and hadn't played in 8+ days. So that is the biggest adjustment for me. It's you have to secure the rebounding battle. You can't give up that many offensive rebounds, and you have to throw more help at Jokic. Like, he can't go for 40 and grab 22 rebounds. It just can't happen.
Well, again, just a great game, great finish. Gordon comes down. They're down by 1, pulls up from downtown on like a fast break, nails it. The inbound, no timeout, just back the other way, no good. And just scenes, absolute scenes. And I love like you could hear the pin drop, especially in Oklahoma City. Look, those folks pack the place in, they wear the shirts, it gets loud. There's not much to do in Oklahoma City, I assume. So everybody goes to that type of game and go into that environment and come away with the victory. Just incredible. So,
well, everyone is talking about the shot, which of course is the biggest storyline. Aaron Gordon, his second game winner this postseason already. Yeah. The bigger storyline to me is Chet Holmgren missed 2 free throws. Like, a really good free throw shooter, just in the clutch moment got to him, just missed 2 free throws, because you're not having that conversation right now if Chet Holmgren makes those 2 free throws, because then presumably it's a 3-point game. And not only is it a 3-point game, but the Nuggets aren't going down the court on a fast break against a jumbled defense when Russell Westbrook can get in the lane and kick to a relatively open Aaron Gordon. Because if you make those 2 free throws, they have to inbound, the defense is more set, and of course, at the worst, you're going to overtime. So Chet Holmgren missed those 2 free throws, and that's kind of what this series is going to come down to, is how much help is Shea going to get? Like, Jalen Williams struggled that last night, And that's a problem considering that he struggled in the second round against the Mavs last year with his efficiency and scoring. He was 5 for 20 last night for 16 points. That's not good enough for the secondary creator and the secondary scorer on this team that is Jalen Williams. Chet Holmgren did not have a good game. He only had 6 rebounds against what you need to rebound the basketball. He had 6 rebounds. And then, of course, he misses those 2 crucial free throws that ultimately decide the game. So Chet wasn't good enough. Shai is going to need extra help from his 2 through 5 for the Thunder to get through this.
Yeah, and Gordon made those 2 free throws on the previous possession by the Nuggets. I mean, he's battle tested. He's a damn good player, man, and that was a heck of a shot to pull up.
People are really pissed about that too because the Thunder fouled up 3, and people don't think that the Thunder should have done that. I don't really mind the fouling up 3. I'm usually a big proponent for fouling up 3, actually. It was a little too early, though. Like most coaches will tell you, like 7-6 seconds is when you want to foul up 3. The Thunder did it with about over 10 seconds left. And it also gave an opportunity for Jokic to enter the game because of that, because he was out and the Nuggets didn't have a timeout, which, I mean, Jokic wasn't even really involved in the final play. So,
yeah,
obviously it's not good, but it didn't really end up mattering that much. The biggest problem for me is how early they fouled up 3, because I'm usually a big fan of fouling up 3.
All right. Give me 1 second. We're going to pause right here. Just 1 second. I'll be right back. Boom, boom, boom. All right, you ready to rock and roll? My fault. Good? Oh, hang on. Are you muted?
I'm good.
All right, talk to me again.
You got me?
Perfect. All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, now with that, Sam, let's go ahead and keep it moving from last night into tonight. We got 2 games. With that being said, of course, I have to ask you whether or not the dogs will continue to bark here, especially from the Warriors' perspective in game 1. But let's put the Warriors and T-Wolves to the side for just a second. Let's talk about the other 3 series that we already had 1 game in. Of course, you know where I'm going. Underdog took all 3. If there's one that you're looking at right now, not your best odds, not anything from a gambling perspective, I just want to know, to Sam Osh, will we have an upset in one of those series?
Yeah, I think it's going to be the Pacers Cavs series, and let me just rule out the Knicks Celtics, the 3-point variance. It's just not gonna keep up. Like they're going to be able to generate good looks based off of attacking Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson.
Let me
So
just say this right now. I hope you're right. I hope you're right because
Knicks fans are too unbearable for you.
you couldn't even like forget it. Who cares? But like I could not even get it out of my mouth to give them the credit that they deserved last night via social media. And and I don't even care about Sean Bernard because he's got me wrapped up in like the webs of these maniacs out there. But like I just want to be like, man, that was a great one. And then you just see these Knicks fans go, "I told you."
No,
It's like, all right,
they're legit lunatics, like
yeah, they
legitimate
are.
lunatics. Like when I go to MSG, they are the most lunacy fan base in the NBA. Like they are just rabid. Like it's like hard to even describe these people, but they are. They're lunatics, and I don't even mean that in a derogatory way. That could be a compliment.
Oh yeah.
So when you see Jerry Ferrara, Turtle from Entourage, saying that's a top 3 win of his life since he became a fan in the last like 4 decades. The guy's 45 years old, which hasn't been too many happy moments. But like if the Celtics win this in 5, nobody cares about that game 1. Correct. So let's just relax for a second.
Well, he's caught up in the moment. He's caught up on the
course.
social media hype. Plus, he's one to always go a little bit crazy. But yeah, I'm with you. I don't think that the Celtics are going to lose that series, and I just hope that that is correct. But you think the Pacers over the Cavs though?
Yeah, and I'll rule out the Nuggets
Okay.
over the Thunder for another reason too. I mean, that Jokic matchup is a problem. Just the physicality he showed against Isaiah Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren, which is a tall, big front line, was overpowering. So I think that's going to be a difficult matchup for the Thunder moving forward. The problem is the Nuggets just played their 8th game in the last 16 days. Moving forward, they only have 1 day of rest in between every game until a potential game 7. If it gets to that, they'll have 2 days off before that. That is there's exhaustion is going to kick in because the Nuggets are not a deep team. They're not like the Pacers where they play 10 deep. Like Jokic and all these guys have to play a huge load. And again, Michael Porter Jr. wasn't good last night. And Jamal Murray was good in stretches, but he also had some poor moments last night. And so I don't really trust the consistency. I think the fatigue is going to kick in. So I'm not on the Nuggets. I am on the Pacers. I think the Pacers are the underdog to bet. And the reason why is because this Cavs team is just becoming depleted by the day. Darius Garland didn't play game 1, obviously. He's dealing with a toe injury. So even if he plays, he's probably not going to be 100% or close to it. The Cavs need his secondary creation. Like him and Donovan Mitchell have done a great job of complementing each other as primary and secondary creator. Without Darius Garland, too much relies on Donovan Mitchell. And we saw that in game 1, and it wasn't enough. They need a secondary creator. They need Darius Garland. And if he's hurt, he obviously is a liability defensively. Teams are going to target him. We saw that with the Heat series. But if he's hurt, that makes him even bigger liability defensively, especially if it's a toe injury, which seems to be pretty bad. So we don't know his status. And now Evan Mobley is questionable for this game tonight. And DeAndre Hunter is questionable for this game tonight. So this Cavs team is just dropping like flies. Like if they're down 2 or 3 starters against a really good Pacers team that is deep, that moves the ball exceptionally well. Tyrese Halliburton is playing awesome. And he's reading the defense at an all-NBA level right now. And they just get 5 guys involved. They lead the NBA in passes. They just play such a high, fast pace that this Pacers team is hard to guard. And they're also defending right now at a pretty high level. So if the Cavs are injured and depleted and they don't have a couple starters, Pacers are going to take this series.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement on that one because I can't necessarily – I do know this much. I believe it's been 2016 since the last time we saw somebody win the MVP and win the championship in the same season with Steph Curry. Since then, it's not to say it's an uphill climb, but there's just a lot of expectation that comes with it. And I know Oklahoma City's deep and possibly deeper than some of those other teams that had the MVP, but still, I just
wait. Didn't Jokic win it when he won MVP?
I don't believe so. No. Joel Embiid won it that year, didn't he?
Was that 2023? Yeah. I guess you're right. Yeah.
How
You're right.
about that? How about
Embiid
that?
didn't. Wow.
Got one. Finally got one on Sam. How about that? All right. So I'm right there with you. But let's go ahead and slide into it. Let's talk about the Golden State Warriors and the Minnesota Timberwolves. How about this from the NBA communication? Right on point here, Sam. Now, we just went in that 3 game ones were won by the road teams. Now, that's the 7th time in NBA history that has happened. Did you know, Sam Oshtry, that it's never happened before where all 4 road teams won game 1? So will we see history tonight? Golden State plus 6.5 on the road in Minnesota. Of course, that's the second game up this evening. 2:10 is our total, 9:35 start time. Sam Oshtry, your thoughts on game 1 there?
This is a really tough series, and I've gone back and forth so many times on this. I think this is going to be the most competitive series. I'd bet it to go 7 at plus 195 at most books, I believe, and including DraftKings. So I would bet on it to go 7. I think it's that competitive of a series. In terms of game 1, I'm not too confident in the Warriors tonight, and it's because of their aging old roster coming off of game 7. And we saw with the Nuggets, it didn't affect the Nuggets when they played a youthful team like the Thunder, but the Warriors are older than the Nuggets. I mean, Steph Curry is approaching 37, or maybe he's already 37. Jimmy Butler is up there in age. Draymond Green's been around forever. Like, this Warriors team is older, and coming off a 7-game series is just tough against a pretty young Minnesota team who has the size advantage over the Warriors, but they also are capable of playing small ball lineups with Naz Reid at the 5, so they can match the Warriors' small ball lineup if they need to. If Rudy Gobert, for some reason, it can't take advantage of his size and has to be played off the floor in this series, which we've seen in previous series, even though he was great in that game 5 against the Lakers, went off for 27 points and 24 boards. So they have the size advantage, but they're also capable of playing small. So I really like this Wolves team against this matchup, and I think they win in game 1 tonight.
Wow. Okay. All right. So the money line on that one, minus 265 for the T-Wolves, plus 215. Just as far as the series price is concerned, T-Wolves minus 180. Golden State, we talked about this one yesterday, plus 155. This is the first time Golden State's history with Steve Kerr as the head coach that they are an underdog heading into a playoff series. Pretty surprising stuff there, but it tells
And
you.
I take the Wolves to cover tonight too at 6.5. I think they win like somewhat handily. Just the fatigue factor sets in late in the fourth quarter for the Warriors.
Yeah, I think, look, if you're going to roll with the Timberwolves to win, you have to give the 6.5. So I don't have an issue with that whatsoever. All right, who's going off from Minnesota though? Is it all based around Ant?
Yeah, I mean, look, they're going to send doubles at Ant, but he's done such a great job of reading and reacting off doubles and constantly making the right plays. So I think Julius Randle is a great series. He kind of brushed off the playoff woes that he's experienced in the past, and he was awesome against the Lakers, and he was really awesome taking advantage of 4-on-3 situations. So I would look at his points and assists because that's really where he generates buckets, is when the other team is doubling Ant, and Julius Randle comes in for some relief, and he takes advantage of 4-on-3 either as a scorer or as a passer out of the short roll. So I really think Julius Randle is going to have another big series. So I would take his points and assists tonight.
Points only here. Anthony Edwards, 27.5. Steph Curry, 26.5. Both are leaders on their teams there. Jimmy Butler, 22.5. Julius is 19.5. Just points.
And points
only.
And assists is 25.5 for Julius Randle.
I definitely think that's a good play there. Got to find it from somebody else. Right? We know how this one's going to play out, especially in game 1. All right. Again, over to the Golden State, or over to game 1. We do have 2 games going off this evening, and it's the Pacers and Cavs, 7.5, 229. We just discussed the series, but game 2, do or die for Cleveland. Are you going to give the 7.5, or do you think the Pacers are to play this evening?
So this line is telling us that they think these injuries aren't a concern and those guys are going to play. True. So none of them were at shoot-around this morning. Darius Garland wasn't at shoot-around. DeAndre Hunter wasn't at shoot-around. Evan Mobley wasn't at shoot-around. So I don't know how much we should look into that, but it's certainly a concern. Like, this line, if those 3 don't end up playing, this line is going to drop dramatically. So this line is telling us that they believe, the odds makers believe, that those 3 are going to play, at least 2 of them, like at least Evan Mobley and DeAndre Hunter will play. And if 2 of them do play, I think the Cavs get it back and cover and win it substantially. So I'd wait until that injury report comes out, because I don't think this line will move that much in the Cavs' direction, if assuming those guys are all playing, maybe like a point at most. And if they do all play, I think the Cavs get this one back. The 3-point variance was a big one in this one, too. The Pacers hit 19 threes and shot 52% from three in game one, while the Cavs made 9 threes and shot 23% in game one. So I don't think that that's not something that'll continue. The Cavs are one of the better 3-point shooting teams in the NBA, and the Pacers are a good 3-point shooting team too, but not that good. So each of those teams will go back towards their mean, and that'll obviously favor the Cavs. So I'd wait until the injury report comes out and it's official those guys are playing. But assuming they do, I think the Cavs roll, and I would take the Cavs with the points.
Cavs got to figure it out and get, again, they were up by a point in the final couple minutes of the game, so it wasn't a blowout. But if I'm not mistaken, it was just the Donovan Mitchell show from, I think he shot 30 times, if I'm not, I
It
believe.
was. And that's what happens when you miss Darius Garland, because you need that secondary shot creation. You need another reliable scorer who can create for himself. And they don't have that without Darius Garland. Like Ty Jerome shot the ball 20 times. Like that's too much for Ty Jerome to shoot and to play. Like he's a great bench guy who can come in and give you great sporadic minutes. Back to that word sporadic. Great minutes sporadically. But he's not a guy that should shoot the ball 20 times. He's not a guy that can really create for himself at that high of a level. So you need Darius Garland because you don't want it to be all on Donovan Mitchell's shoulders.
Forgive me if you said that he picked up a knock. He's not listed on DraftKings, Ty Jerome. Did he get injured at all? Or are they just, he's a key? Like they know that everybody's waiting for his numbers because he is, he can go out there and fill it up. And if especially he's going to take 20 shots and he's got to replace the Garland production, so on and so forth. Is that why DraftKings doesn't have him up yet?
Yeah, I would assume so because there's no injury from him. He should be expected to play, but I think it really depends on his load is just going to depend on those injuries and how much he has to play. Yeah, that's probably why they're holding out on that.
Interesting stuff there. That's game one this evening. Man, I'll tell you, I think I might take the Pacers plus 7.5 here.
It's going to be all about the injury report for me. Like it's if like Darius Garland and even DeAndre Hunter are out, the Pacers could easily win this outright, not just cover, win this outright. But if those three guys are playing, it's just, even if they're a little injured, it's going to be hard for the Cavs. And it's also at home. Like this is at home for the Cavs. Like, are they really going to lose 2 at home? If they do, they're probably cooked. Like it really is a do or die.
Done. Yeah. We've seen teams go down 0-2 before and come back and win. It doesn't happen often, but
not when they blow home court advantage. Yeah, that's rare.
It's about as DOA as it could possibly get. And yeah, on the flip side of that, I'll back the Minnesota Timberwolves. So 1 dog, 1 favorite. I'm going to take the T-Wolves minus the 6.5 here. I think that they will be fired up at home, rested. Ant's going to put on a show. And oh, by the way, have some pride, Rudy Gobert. Like, you've been getting punked by Draymond for years now. Have some pride. You're coming off the best game in your playoff in your career, not just playoffs. Like, show some pride, show some fight, go out there, and don't let Draymond bully you all over the court. How about that?
But at the same time, we talked about this yesterday. Draymond has to control his emotions. Like he has genuine hatred. He talks smack to a lot of people and tries to get under people's skin and will get in their head and go head to head with them. Sure, this is genuine hatred he has for Rudy Gobert. I mean, we see it when he makes fun of him every chance he can get to make fun of Rudy Gobert for crying when he didn't make the All-Star game. Like when that play that he got suspended and he had to go to therapy for, and he was suspended for quite a bit and stepped away from the team. It was because he choked Rudy Gobert out. Yeah. Like that was the catalyst behind all of that. And he wasn't even involved in the play. He saw an opportunity to choke Rudy Gobert out. He jumped in and said, "I'm taking Rudy's neck out." And that he has genuine hatred for Rudy Gobert. So he has to control his emotions because they're not going to let, I mean, they let a lot go last series. Like they did not kick him out when he probably deserved to be kicked out in 1 or 2 of those games. They were just assigning him technicals instead of multiple flagrants or flagrant 2s. Based on the history with him and Rudy Gobert, I don't know if the refs are going to allow him to do that this series. So he has to be careful and control his emotions. But at the same time, Rudy Gobert, like, this guy hates you. Like, this guy's gonna be coming for your throat. Are you gonna take that, or how are you gonna approach it?
That's my point. It's like, play with some damn pride, dude. We know what's being said. We know that there's no love between you guys. Go out there and why don't you run I know you don't want to change your game up, but just don't back down. You're at home. You're favored. Some are saying you're the better team. Go out there and show it, right? Like you were disrespected in the Lakers series. You let everybody know, and you proved it. Now you got an opportunity to knock off Golden State, and I know that Ant has knocked off a lot of great players. I'm fully aware of that, but this is a big ask here, and I think it's a roll of the dice really to back the T-Wolves in this. But the odds makers are telling you the rest we went over. Like what we saw last night was special. Does Steph and Golden State have that special performance in them, and Minnesota lays a dud? I think that's a difficult combination to have. So I think T-Wolves are going to play well. Golden State, could they hit a couple threes? That's always a question mark, right? 6.5, through late three-pointer, and it's like, I knew I should have took Golden State, but that's not the way I view it. If I think Minnesota's going to win the game, I'll give the 6.5 here.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you on that, because it's also, when you talk about the factor with Warriors making threes, it's not about Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green. We know what those guys are going to do. It's about Moses Moody. It's about Buddy Hield, who obviously had a great series all around last series, but especially great Game 7 when he hit a record 9 threes in a Game 7. But it's about Moses Moody, who's been inconsistent as a shooter. Gary Payton should be back from an illness that he dealt with. How is he going to be as a shooter? He's hit or miss. You know what he is as a defender, but offensively, like, he's had good shooting nights, and he also has nights where he bricks it. Like, you know what Curry's going to bring this series, because the Wolves can't match the physicality that the Rockets did, both just blitzing him as off ball when they were really just holding him, doubling him off the ball. The Wolves just don't have the defenders to match that type of physicality on Curry. So Curry's going to have a great series, no doubt. It's about the others for the Warriors, and are those guys going to make threes?
All right. Once again, our series prices right now on DraftKings Sportsbook. Cavs and Pacers, game 2 tonight. Cavaliers trailing 1-0 to the Pacers. Game in Cleveland. Cavs minus 195, Pacers plus 160. T-Wolves just getting started tonight. Game 1, they're minus 180 favorites, plus 155 for Golden State. Celtics to win the series, now trailing by 1 game, down 1-0 to the New York Knicks, minus 340 for the Celtics, plus 270 for the Knicks there. And then finally, Oklahoma City, minus 290, trailing 1 game to none to the Denver Nuggets, who are plus 235 on DraftKings Sportsbook to win the series. Some nice money there to be made. Hopefully those books took a little bit of a hit yesterday, because the dogs were barking in a big way.
They were. It was the first time in any playoff night that two teams who were at least 9-point underdogs won in the same night. So it was a wild night.
Dogs didn't just cover; they cooked, man. They cooked yesterday. It was a lot of fun to watch. Hopefully, we see some more of that. But we also want the series to be stretched out a little bit too. So it would be nice to go and get a 1-1 series in that Pacers Cavs, and then of course, let's see the T-Wolves open up with a victory there. All right. Any final thoughts before we get out of here? Working on some stuff for the score.
Yes, sir. A lot today about all those first round upsets and which team has the best chance of coming back, which I think is the Pacers. How the Celtics are pretty cooked, or excuse me, the Knicks are pretty cooked even after taking a 1-0 lead. And you saw that where the odds moved, of course, in the Knicks' favor for the series price, but not drastically. And same thing with the Thunder Nuggets, where the Thunder have glaring issues, rebounding, secondary scoring. But the Nuggets fatigue is going to kick in for the Nuggets. So all that stuff coming out at the score, and like we talked about all day.
All right. Just to let everybody know, some weather is in the area over these next couple of days, but it's not going to stop us. We're going to be broadcasting live on Friday from the Truist Championship. PGA's Tour top players like Rory McIlroy and Justin Thomas. Yeah, they're all playing at Philadelphia's Cricket Club, the Wissahickon course, May 8th through the 11th. Tickets are on sale right now as we speak at truistchampionship.com. They got some really cool things going on, including Michelob Ultra Club, a lot of Philly bites, Philly food out there all around the golf course. Some great kids, fun spots that you can roll into. And I did see this yesterday. As a matter of fact, I shared it on Instagram. Speaking of kids, I apologize about this. Kids are free, Sam Oshtry.
I saw that. That's crazy.
Yeah. Nice work by them on that, I thought.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Kids get in free May 7th through the 11th. Need a family-friendly activity. Kids 15 and under get in for free with a general admission ticket. So Just check out what Truist Championship has to say as far as on Instagram, and you'll see the advertisement there. Kids getting in free all weekend long. So pretty cool stuff there. Like I said, we'll be broadcasting live on Friday and on Wednesday tomorrow, the Creator Classic. We're going to be out there getting a lot of videos done, a lot of content, having some fun. You're going to hear a lot of the Daily Ticket being recorded out there. Try and make my way back to be live tomorrow, but if not, we'll be back at it on Thursday and then Friday from the Truist Championship, and the Gambler Gang will be in full attendance. Looking forward to that one. Looking forward to getting back tomorrow. But if you missed anything, once again, everything can be found over at foxphlgambler.com. Keep it locked right here to the Gambler.